guys, welcome back to the Walking Narrow podcast, where we help men live intentional lives and become the providers, protectors, and leaders they are called to be. If this is your first time, thanks for checking us out. This is a collective of men who want to reclaim, reshape, and embrace manhood as it's intended to be. We do so by sharing biblical truth, addressing current events, and openly discussing things that impact us as guys on an everyday basis. If you're new here or have not already done so, I encourage you to like, follow, subscribe. You can do so by going to our website at narrowgatecollective.org and joining our newsletter, where you'll be notified of upcoming events as well as latest content drops. And you can also follow us on YouTube by subscribing to the channel. You'll get the latest video content there and also be notified of the latest podcast drops. I hope you all are having a great week. Personally, I am coming off a wonderful week last week. The first week of August traditionally is one of my favorite weeks of the year, and that's because of the Global Leadership Summit, or GLS. I've been going to that conference for about 7 or 8 years now, and I love going to it. Well, technically, I watch it virtually, but I really enjoy it regardless. Hope to go in person one day. I think that'd be really neat to see all the presenters and just kind of take in that experience live in person. But it's a really good conference. Highly encourage that for anyone that is seeking leadership advice. The conference takes the approach of everyone can be a leader. And while I think there's some limits to that, I think there's a lot of truth to that as well. We all have tendencies and areas in our lives where we can lead out. And I really like their approach to developing leaders. The presenters are amazing. They span many different industries, many different backgrounds, and really solid content throughout. This year was especially fun, though, because my wife and I decided to turn this 2-day conference into a little bit of a getaway for us. So we watch it virtually every year. We thought, hey, this year we are going to go somewhere and watch it together, but have a little bit of an overnight experience, which we don't normally get to have. The last time that we had an overnight, just the two of us, was about 8 years ago. And needless to say, we don't get out too much with the kids. It's kind of challenging sometimes to have the opportunity to even go out to dinner in an evening, but especially for an overnight, this was a special time for us, and had a great time connecting with her in different ways, just intentional quality time together. We attended the conference during the day, but even that, it was such a slow pace. It was a work day as well, so we were both checking emails and Teams and Slack messages and all that, but that was kind of in between the presentations, and we just got to sit there in a really nice old resort here in the Midwest, and we had coffee and just sat by a fireplace. It was a wonderful time. But it got me thinking, like, how much that meant to me this last week and how much our relationship needed that. We are very comfortable with one another. We have a strong relationship, but even the strongest relationships take effort to maintain. And this was such a needed thing for us. It was great to connect with her in different ways without, we weren't mom and dad on this trip. We were husband and wife. And it was such a nice change of pace for us just to be able to sit down, have some coffee together at a slower pace. We went out to some nice dinners that we typically wouldn't do. We're pretty frugal, but maybe the biggest reason is we don't go to certain places because there's usually a battle over the sugar packets on the table, or we're worried about something being knocked off the table. But just the opportunity to be there together one-on-one and spend that time together was a great experience. So that's actually what we're going to talk about in this episode today, is how do we intentionally live life with our spouse, and what are some applications we can put in place this week to reinforce those relationships. Let me start by acknowledging that not all of us are in the same place. I recognize some of our listeners have not been married. Some of the listeners are married. Some of the listeners are separated from their spouses, and some are officially divorced. So I recognize that we're all coming from different places with this, but this episode we're really going to talk about what the relationships with our spouses should be. And there's some application at the end as well, but this really should hit all groups. I think there's something for everybody in this particular episode. So let me start with the group that has not yet been married. I don't think I can emphasize this enough, but the choice of your spouse is going to be the biggest, most impactful worldly decision that you will ever make. This decision is huge. This decision is larger than what you're going to do after you graduate high school, where you're going to go to college, what career do you want. It's larger than what is your retirement balance, what car are you going to drive, all of those things that the single guys worry about, and rightfully so. But all those things pale in comparison to the spouse that you will have one day, Lord willing. I cannot overstate the importance of finding a good spouse. It's that important. This spouse is going to be your life partner. And I mean that. It will be your life partner. This individual will be in your life for good and bad. No matter what, this individual will be in your life forever. If you're fortunate enough to have children, this will be the mother of your children and be your partner in raising the next generation. They will be your financial partner. They will be your spiritual partner. I can't emphasize that enough, guys. This is a huge deal, so do not settle. Okay, there's a couple things that I would encourage this group of listeners to look out for. One is, and I hate to even say this is a thing, but I think it is nowadays, is political differences. I am not political at all, but I recognize our culture is. And my thought on this is, if your future spouse holds to certain values enough where they belong to a political party that is different than yours, regardless of which party it is, left, right, doesn't matter. If you both hold to values that align to a different political party, enough where you're like, hey, I am X party over Y party, those are pretty strong held beliefs, right? I don't see how those relationships work. I think they could, but it's not a great start, right? The reason for that is there's just so many differences, and the narrative that we are fed as a culture only divides us. And again, if either one of you are hold so strong to those values that you believe align to one party over the other, and you land on different sides of that equation, you're going to be facing an uphill battle for sure. So that would be one watch item. The other is, and I 100% believe this should be a showstopper. If your future spouse does not hold the same spiritual belief system that you do, don't get married. I truly believe that marriage will be a disaster and will end in divorce. If it does not end in divorce, you really have to watch yourself, and there's a high chance that the spiritual values that you hold so strongly to now are going to be weakened over the years, and you will slowly start to see yourself drift away. That particular mix, that match of belief system is so huge. Don't settle for anything but a believing spouse. Non-believing women can be great people. They can be really good individuals. They can do a lot of good in the world. But the reality is, and this is men and women both, believers and non-believers, they live life differently. Non-believers watch different shows, listen to different music. They have different views on the way the world should be done, the way marriage should be done. They are just differences that are so vast in many cases. And if the differences aren't large enough to create issues in the marriage, it will create issues again for you as you have this constant battle and this constant pull to support your spouse in the way that they want to live, which would be in a non-believing way. And that drift is too risky to even take a chance on. So if you cannot find a spouse, or if you're in a relationship thinking, well, once we get married, I will be able to convert her to my faith. Hey, that's a great idea. Reality is it's likely not going to work. And your relationship with the Lord needs to trump your relationship with this potential spouse. And you need to be praying on that. There is a girl for you, I'm certain. But do yourself a favor. Don't settle for anything less. If you have a strong belief system, your future spouse needs to share that belief system. Okay, so let's talk about, for those of us that are married, and some ways that we can show some appreciation to our wives, and some applications that we can put in place this next week. If you are like me, you likely take your wife for granted unintentionally, but you get into this routine of day after day. You've sort of settled into your roles, the chores you do around the house, who takes the kids to school, who cooks, all this fun stuff, right? You sort of settled in, it's become a little bit routine, and you lose sight of the woman in your house being your wife and being the love of your life. We forget that because we get run down by the day to day. But what an amazing gift that is, guys. We should not take that for granted. And I know it's a lot easier said than done. And I'm certainly guilty of this myself, but we need to be intentional in how we value our wives and how we show them that they are valued. And I have 3 applications for us this week that I want you to do. I will do them as well. And admittedly, I'm not very good at them. So this will be a real good push for me in the week ahead as well. But I encourage you to follow along, do the same. If you're real brave, share in the comments how this worked for you, what you did, how did your wife respond. Share with the other guys maybe some date ideas so we can benefit from one another, help each other out a little bit. But 3 applications would be, one, and this one seems very obvious, but I suspect we all struggle with it. First one is listen to your wife. Like, truly listen to your wife. I am guilty of assuming I know what my wife wants to tell me as she starts a story. And she talks a lot more than I do. I'm very much like soup hot, 2-word sentences. And she is very verbose in her stories. And as she starts to talk to me about things, I just assume I know what she's going to say. I'll hear the first couple sentences like, oh, I know where this is going. I know what she's going to say. And I have a tendency to check out. And it's not obviously not the support that she's looking for. And she recognizes that I check out as well, as does your wife. Okay. So my challenge to us this week is to listen to your spouse. Okay. And I mean, truly listen. Don't just jump to conclusions about what they're going to say and check out, but also don't rush to offer advice. One of the things that I've recently started doing with my wife is asking very clearly, is this something you want advice on, or do you just want me to listen? My wife and I, we talk a lot about work. We both work from home, so we are each other's coworkers. We share a lot of things throughout the day. If I run up to get more coffee during the day, there's usually a work story involved. And we can share a lot of those stories because we've kind of been through it. In her role and in my role, we had different experiences, and we're able to partner well on those things together. But because of that, I know I have a tendency to just want to jump in right away and help and offer my advice. And sometimes that's not what she needs or wants. So I would encourage you to actively listen to your wife. Don't jump to conclusions on what she's saying. Also, maybe ask her, like, are you just wanting to talk? I'm happy to listen, but I don't want to jump to conclusions or jump to, hey, I need to solve this, which I think we have a tendency to do as guys. So be mindful of that and watch out for that. The second is find intentional time with your wife. Find intentional time with your wife. This can look like getting the kids to watch a movie while the two of you have a dinner together. Maybe if you have a babysitter or you have a kid that's old enough, they can watch the other siblings while you and your wife go out to dinner. If you're looking for very cost-effective ways, go take a walk in the evening. Maybe you have coffee together in the morning, but find some time where it's just the two of you, uninterrupted from other responsibilities in life. Let life slow down a little bit, remove distractions, leave your phone behind, turn the TV off, make sure the kids are occupied, and just find time to be together. I think this will pay huge dividends to your relationship. You'll start to see one another in a different light. Instead of mother and father, you're going to be husband and wife and friends. And that's so important. Your kids are out of the house. You need to be friends with your wife. Your marriage should last, ideally, longer than your kids are in the house. So when your kids are out and you're empty nesters, your spouse is your best friend, and that's who you will continue to do life with. You've launched your kids at that point, and you can look back and laugh at some of the memories and reflect on the life that you lived together as mother and father. But now you're back to husband and wife and best friends, and you have to be there for one another, and you have to be able to grow with one another. The only way you can do that is to continue pouring into that relationship nonstop. You can't go from, the 20-year-old self that you were when you likely met your wife to the 40s and 50-year-old self that the only thing in between was like you died to self as parents only, but you didn't pour into your own relationship. If you're looking at a 20 to 30-year gap where you've really taking the time to be intentional with one another, that's going to be a real challenge for you when the kids leave the house. And unfortunately, you see a lot of marriages fall apart at that point because the spouses find that they don't know each other anymore. They've been so preoccupied with making sure their kids have what they need. But it's really important to recognize that your identity as a couple goes well beyond how you raise your kids. It started with you two, and that's what will be there as the kids go on and take on the next chapter in their life. So that has to be a really strong bond. Number 3, again, number 1 is listening to your wife better this week. Be an active listener. Don't jump to conclusions, and ask her, do you need advice, or would you like me to listen? Number 2 is find intentional times with your wife. And number 3, and this is the one where I struggle, admittedly. I am not good with words, which I recognize the irony in this and doing a podcast, but I am not good with words when it comes to sharing how I feel with people, especially my wife. And I don't know if I just feel like that's a sign of weakness or what, but I've always struggled with this. Anything that is sort of, I don't know, mushy. I don't even know if mushy is a word. If it wasn't before, it is now. But anything that's sort of mushy, and I'm like, I don't really know how to tell her. And I always kind of cower out, kind of like I'm a teenage boy again, like, oh, I just can't. I can't say it. I can't do it. Fight through that. If you're like me, fight through that. And what I want you to do, I'm going to do it with you. We can share our stories afterwards. Let me know how it goes. And you know what? As you do this, she's probably like, what is this guy doing? He's up to something. In that case, good luck, fellas. I'm pulling for you. Good luck with that. But seriously, I want you to go up to your wife in a time where maybe you can get her just by herself when she's not momming, right? Go up to your wife where you can just get one-on-one time. I want you to grab her hand, maybe grab her by the face. I don't know, whatever your relationship is like, but I want you to pause and make sure that you have her attention. And I want you to tell her you love her, how grateful you are for her as your wife, if you have kids, as the mother of your children, and just take some time to look at her and let her know that she is valued and that you appreciate her. It seems so simple. And for some of you, it might be like, oh, my wife's going to think I'm nuts. Like, who is this guy? And maybe that's a good thing. My wife might be saying the same thing because I don't usually do those types of things. My wife knows she is loved very much, but I don't take the time to just say, hey, I need your attention. And I want to tell you I love you and I'm grateful for you. I challenge myself. I challenge you guys this week. Let's do that. Take that opportunity to let her know how you feel and make sure that she knows. All right, so let's recap those things real quick. Number one, be an active listener with your wife. Don't jump to conclusions and ask her if she wants advice or if she just wants someone to listen to her. Number two, find intentional time to spend one-on-one with your wife. Big or small, it could be early morning coffee. It could be a walk across the yard together. Just do laps. That's fine. Walk hand in hand. Talk to one another. Truly understand how their day went, but do that intentionally. Maybe you can make that a routine as well. Something every week. You're like, hey, Wednesday nights, this is what we do. Or, Thursday evenings, we go for a walk together. Whatever the case is, whatever you find that works well with your spouse, where you get some intentional time, do that this week. Find ways to make it routine in the weeks ahead. And the third is tell your wife how you feel about her. And do so in a way where it's not just at the end of a phone call, like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, love you, bye. Or leaving the house, bye, love you. Those are great. Do those still. But in this case, I want you to go up to her. I want you to intentionally look at her, make sure you have her attention. I want you to tell her you love her and why you're grateful for her. And then let us know how it goes in the comments as well, if you have a fun story to share afterwards. Okay, I mentioned at the beginning of this that I recognize not all of us are in the same spot from a relationship standpoint. For those listeners that have been divorced, I have slightly different advice for you. Obviously, some of the things that we've talked through, you probably don't have the opportunity to do that with your ex-spouse. But you do have opportunities to respect your spouse, your ex-spouse still. You have an opportunity to at least reconcile and make sure that the relationship is good. If you have kids, this is super important. So important that you reconcile. You have to get along enough for the sake of your kids. My challenge to you this week is to reconcile any relationship with your ex-spouse that needs to be reconciled. There's appreciation you can have for this person. Again, I don't know the reason for the divorce or the separation, but there's some common ground there, right? There's reasons you fell in love to begin with, and you have a love and respect for this person. Find an opportunity to reconcile anything in the relationship that needs to be reconciled. That'd be my first advice. The second challenge would be to make sure that you are not communicating any sort of negative baggage to your children about your ex-spouse. Children do not need to know the baggage that comes from a divorce. They feel it already. And you might be on the right side of the divorce. You might be on the right side. But your children don't need to know why their mother is bad or is at fault or whatever, right? We all recognize there's two sides to every story anyway. Your children are going to figure this out anyway. If one side of the equation is bad, children see this, and if they don't see it now, they're going to see it as they mature and they get more life experience. So they don't need you to tell them that their mother is the problem, right? So my encouragement to you guys is if there's any sort of repair needed there, if you've talked negatively about your spouse to your children, with humility, take this opportunity this week to show them you have a respect for your ex-spouse, how much you appreciate them, maybe for the simple fact that they gave life to your kids. And for however long you were married, you were partners in raising those kids. That's a pretty strong similarity there that we can align on, right? And use this opportunity to take the high road, reconcile those relationships, even though it's going to be super awkward. Take the high road this week, fellas. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up for this week. thank you so much for checking us out. Really means a lot that you guys are supporting this collective. I love hearing feedback from you guys throughout the weeks of feedback on the episodes, things that you've been able to apply. Um, some of you give future content ideas as well. So if you have those, drop some feedback into the comments section as well, and we'll try to work those in. But appreciate the support as always. I ask that you share this message with other guys. As I've said before, we do not care how many subscribers or followers or whatever that we get. We do care about the impact that we make. And sometimes those go hand in hand. The more subscribers we have, the more likely it is for this content to get placed in front of other men. And hopefully that has some impact just in itself. So I encourage you to share this with other men who may benefit from this content and be on the lookout for new content to drop soon. Until then, let's get it, guys.